So, people are always asking me, newbie, what do you got under the hood of that thing? Or, newbie, what kind of exhaust are you running, man? That thing sounds mean. Well, thanks, but I think it sounds good too. So, just a stock 50HO. I've got, I think BBK, unequal length shorties, inch and 5/8, primaries, 3-inch collector. I like the unequal length. They sound great compared to those unequal length. And if you don't believe me, just put an unequal length on one of those and you'll be sad real quick. They just, in my mind, they don't sound as good. I've got a custom off-road H-pipe, no cats, 2.5 inch all the way back, old school 2-chamber 40 series, dual chamber, yeah, Flowmasters, like from 1980 something or 1990, and then 2.5 inch stainless replica tailpipes, stock 5-speed with a new clutch, and then 18 inch, I think they're ZR saline replicas, 5-liter badges instead of the Mustang GT ones. Oh, and got the Canadian edition of the little stubby antenna pole, you know, got that. Got the I guess staggered offset rear wheels, so no spacer needed. It's built in, don't worry about the rust on the rotors. A few driveway burnouts, I'll fix that right up. It's got a new top, tinted windows. Looks like it's got the black inlay stickers in the Mustang GT bumper. Factory taillights, had the 4.6 versions, but I didn't like them, I took them out. Subframe welding connectors, being it's convertible. And then got these SR performance caster camber adjusters, because it's lowered with, I think they're Eibach spring 2-inch lowering kit. So that changes all your geometry, and it drives like an absolute pile if you don't align it properly after. But these things, well, mine, they suck. There's a retainer nut under this ball joint, and it flops around a whole bunch, and it just rattles over every bump. So I put in these grease fittings, and I grease them every now and again. It takes that away. So if you buy those and have that problem, that might be an option for you. Fuel pressure gauge from the last video, I already showed that. The header bolts these headers come with are just terrible. They get these little 3/8 or 7/16 heads. They always come loose. Don't matter if you torque them right, everything's clean. They just keep backing out. I put the factory bolts in, which have like a triangular raised edge on 3 even points of the threads, which seem to lock them in there, and they haven't come loose since. I mean, they don't look as nice as the chrome bolts, but it's my car, not yours. So 195, I think, degree thermostat, which is factory, not the 160 everybody says to put in, because the thing just overheats. It opens up too soon, and it stays open, and your rad doesn't have time to cool the coolant. Your fan's running constantly, and you're overheating more than you should be. It's not an upgrade. Other things, like I was saying in the last video, I forgot, I put it in the comments, but like, make sure you got a clean air filter and stuff like that. Just do your maintenance, make sure it runs properly. Did a smog pump delete, took all the lines out and everything. EGR, not delete, but block off. So gasket, block off plate, another gasket, all sandwiched in there and torqued properly. And then I took that pipe off, and that's a nice Canadian penny sandwiched in there to seal off any exhaust leaks. And everything's still plugged in, and the computer's all happy. It thinks it's doing what it's supposed to do, and you don't get any check engine lights. And then made sure my, whatever that constant relay panel is under there, made sure everything's good there. If you get any issues with stalling at stoplights, sometimes those relays burn out. You know, your AC or your fan will turn on at an idle, and it'll kill the engine, because that thing isn't doing its job to tell the computer to bump up the IAC. As far as gears, stock 308s, I believe, and careful when you're doing a service on these diffs. They got an aluminum cover, so you jam your flat screwdriver pry bar in there, and you're going to mess that thing right up. I rebuilt the diff posi unit, And make sure you put those clutches in clutch steel, not two clutches together or two steels. It wrecks everything. It doesn't work. And you got a little SZ clip thing in there. I jammed mine in the vise and bent it open. It's about, you measure with a vernier or something, it's about a 1/4 inch thicker than it used to be. So when you compress it to put it in there, it holds that much extra pressure on the clutches. And then you can do donuts for days, because you got like basically a full posi, except it's not welded and you don't die. And then I just put the battery in this thing. I usually give it about you know, a few key cycles to get the fuel pump primed up and let the computer know what's going on, and then fire it up. But I think this car has a B cam in it. From everything I've seen and how they sound, it doesn't sound like an E cam or a trick flow or anything like that. It sounds like an old school B cam. And the one thing about putting a cam in these cars, the computer and the cam, they'll fight each other to no end, and you can't get them to idle. The computer thinks that it's going down an idle when you get down to closed loop or whatever on you know, cam gets into the lope stage at idle, and it's just trying to give it more air, more throttle, or more fuel, and it just makes a mess of things, and you can barely get it running. But we'll fire this bad boy up. Oh, leather interior. The only bad thing about this car is I lose money every time I drive it. It's not because of tires and fuel, but when you sit down, all your money falls out of your pocket, and you don't know it until it rattles loose. And I guess you're a little bit richer after once you find it. I'm sure there's some under the carpet. Black leather interior, black on black and black. I don't know if these are factory seats or not. They're pretty comfy. Oh, and the shifter, I bought a brand new 8-ball and put it in the drill press, drilled it, tapped it. That was pretty cool. I don't know, saw it in a movie once, I guess. This hasn't been running for a while, a couple of weeks, but ice cold. And you'll see once it warms up and comes in the closed loop, you can hear the cam pretty good. But then the computer kind of hides its lope ability, I guess, after a while from compensating. Got 180, you know, whatever that is in miles, but it does run pretty good. It's pretty strong for what it is, and doesn't like second gear burnouts too much. If it's real, you got a lot of grip, you try to hit second, you're doing a clutch delete. It turns that friction disc into powder pretty quick. So I mean, there's a few videos out there of hitting second gear. Usually I'll roll backwards and just start off in second. That's not too bad. So as far as from going first to second, so you don't like it. Now with the 308s in there. Oh, and if you got overheating problems after running the proper thermostat, these come with a 2-core rad. See the 2 cores, but the tank's made for 4 cores. You can upgrade that, and that helps big time with cooling system capacity and how it works and everything else. The coolant flush, lots of other little things, and it's not too bad. Oh, and if you're doing exhaust in your car, be careful, because when you do tailpipes, this filler neck that goes down to the tank, it's sealed with this rubber grommet. It goes in the side of the tank. If you bump that original grommet the least little bit, when you fuel up the next time, you're gonna know, because it's gonna be all over the ground. The quadra bind, or whatever you call this 4-link suspension, it's still pretty tight. I don't think there's been a lot of clutch dumping or anything like that, but they do wear out and they get pretty jumpy and hoppy. So if you got that hopping around in between gears, you might want to look at that, see how much slack is in your whole suspension back there. Yeah, air works, everything works like it should, like a factory car. But yeah, we may take care of the rust. A couple of driveway burnouts, we'll clean those rotors right up. Been sitting outside. Yeah, it's kind of filthy, but hasn't been run all year. It's been in the garage. Winter up here in the cold north. Strong and unfree, I guess. Cheers.